Hello and welcome to my version of what's in my camera backpack. This summer we traveled to Tenerife, Spain, a beautiful island in the Atlantic Ocean. It's located 300 kilometers west of Morocco, Africa. And in today's video I want to show you what camera equipment I took with me to capture the beauty of this island. I will cover cameras, lenses, carrying and mounting equipment and other accessories I took with me to Tenerife. So let's start with the cameras. I took the Panasonic G7 and GX80 with me. I use the GX80 most of the time because it has in-body image stabilization, and combined with the optical image stabilization of the 12-35 lens of Panasonic, you get really nice stable shots with dual IS when shooting handheld. The G7 I used as a backup and also for gimbal work. The G7 has a remote input, so you can use the controls on your gimbal to control the camera. I also used the G7 for time lapses, so I could set up one camera for taking the time lapse and I could still take photos with the GX80 during that time. You can also watch a comparison video I did for these two cameras when you click up here. Now let's take a look at the lenses. I took 6 lenses with me to Tenerife. The LAOWA 7.5mm f2 lens, the Panasonic 12-35 f2.8, the Panasonic 20mm f1.7 pancake lens that is filming me right now, also the Panasonic 42.5mm f1.7 lens, the Minolta 50mm f1.4 lens, and another Minolta 200mm f4 lens. Most of the time I use the 12-35 because it is a very sharp lens. It has a versatile focal range for landscape photography and it has image stabilization, so with the in-body image stabilization of the GX80 I get the really nice dual IS to take smooth handheld video shots and photos. My second most used lens was the LAOWA 7.5mm. I used it for landscape photography, for gimbal work and also for astrophotography when we were in the tidal region to take photos of the Milky Way. Then I also used the Minolta 50mm lens. It had just arrived before the trip, so I wanted to test it out. I used it for taking some portraits, for photographing spiders with a macro ring attached to the lens, and I also used it for filming when I needed some longer reach my 12-35 couldn't provide. The Minolta 200mm I mainly use for photographing animals like the lizards that are everywhere on this island, and also when we were to the LAOWA Park Zoo I took a lot of pictures with the 200mm lens. What I did not use very often was the 20mm Panasonic pancake lens. Its focal range is already covered by the 12-35 and most of the time I didn't need the faster aperture of this lens. I only used it once for filming penguins in the LAOWA Park in a quite dark area. They had turned down the lights because they were simulating the Arctic winter there, and I also used the Panasonic 42.5 there for filming. But other than that, I didn't use it very often. So for carrying my camera equipment, I took my Mindshift rotation panorama with me. It is a very nice and versatile backpack, and you can watch a review of this backpack when you click up here. I also have a Peak Design capture clip attached to the backpack, so I have fast and easy access to my camera. I also usually use a wrist strap on the camera to secure it, especially when we are hiking in the mountains or photographing at a steep cliff. I don't want to lose my camera there. For mounting, I took a Manfrotto B3 tripod with me. It's very light and compact, and you can always have it with you. For an even lighter setup, I had a small flexible tripod, also with the Manfrotto quick release mount attached to it. For filming with a lot of camera movement involved, I had the Scion Crane Plus gimbal. I also had a small L bracket grip with me that you can attach on the bottom of the camera, but I didn't use it at all because I don't find it that comfortable to use. I also took a small clamp and a magic arm with me to Tenerife, but I didn't carry it on any trip on the island. I thought maybe I could use them to install some lighting, like a flash or a video light on the tripod, but I didn't use it at all. My most used accessories were my filters. I usually carry them in this pouch here, and of the filters, most of the time I used a variable ND filter from B&W. It covers the range of 1 to 5 stops, and it is very versatile when you want to film and take photos at the same time. When filming in bright daylight and with wide open apertures, you need more than 5 stops, and so sometimes I also attached an additional 3-stop fixed ND filter to the variable ND filter. In this pouch I have 3, 6 and 10 stop filters in the filter sizes of 46mm and 67mm, and various step-up rings for different lenses. My second most used accessory were these macro rings. These are automatic macro rings that transfer the electronic signals from lens and camera and vice versa. I used them to take some macro shots of spiders with my Minolta 50mm lens, and I also used them together with the 200mm lens to get a shorter focusing distance for photographing lizards. The Minolta 200mm lens has a minimum focusing distance of 2.5 meters. So with the macro rings you get about 1.5 meter, which is quite a bit closer than without the macro rings. I also took a flash with me to Tenerife, the Yongnuo 560 Mark IV. It is quite a big flash, and I didn't want to carry it with me just in case I need it, so I always left it in our apartment. I also took a small video light with me, this Manfrotto here. I wanted to use it for Milky Way shots to light the foreground with it, but I ended up using just my headlight to light the foreground. Other accessories I took with me were of course a blower for cleaning, a small lens pan for cleaning, a set of black, gray and white card for white balancing, but I always forget to use it, a power bank to charge my GX80 on the go, then of course some USB cables, AC adapters and chargers, although I did not use the GX80 battery charger I had with me because I always charge the battery of the GX80 in camera. I also bought a backup SD card for this trip and this backup device, the Raw Power File Hub Plus. And I also bought a Western Digital SSD drive with 256 GB of space, and I carried them in this hard disk case. Since this trip was our honeymoon trip, I didn't want to lose any photos or videos I took on this trip. The File Hub Plus is great for backing up your data when you didn't want to carry a laptop with you during the trip. It's very easy and comfortable to use. You just insert your SD card into the file hub, attach your SSD drive to the USB port, power it on, and you can control the file transfer via a mobile phone app. You can also use the file hub as a power bank. It has 6700 milliamps, and you can also use the file hub as a Wi-Fi repeater. So my typical setup when hiking or sightseeing was my GX80 with the hand grip and the wrist strap attached to my Peak Design clip on my backpack, and I usually carried another 3 or 4 additional lenses, usually the LAOWA 7.5mm lens, the 200mm Minolta lens, and then depending on the trip I took some of the other lenses with me. When I had the Xeon Crane Plus gimbal with me, I usually didn't take my Manfrotto tripod with me because I wanted to save some weight. Then I just took the small flexible tripod with me just in case I needed a tripod. So what are my conclusions from this trip? Next time I will leave things at home I did not use during this trip. For instance, the flash and the magic arm and clamp, and I will change my lens setup. I think I will leave the 20mm Panasonic and the 50mm Minolta at home and replace the 200mm Minolta with a telephoto zoom to have a bit more flexibility in the long end. So that's it for today's video. I hope you found it useful. If you have any comments or questions, then please leave them down below. If you like this video, then please hit that like button. If you haven't already, then please subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one.